Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So this is the second video in the Charlie Munger Psychological Misjudgments series from Poor Charlie's Almanac. I just want to say before we jump in, watching Howard Marks give a talk at the University of Chicago, it really brought this study of psychology to the forefront for me when he said, as a senior leader at Oak Tree, his primary role is to gauge human psychology in the markets. Okay, that's really what Howard Marks focuses on. It's easy to look around on YouTube, figure out, okay, what's the next hot stock, right? What are the stock tips out there? That's candy. Okay, we're focused here on the vegetables. All right, this is long-term. This is, okay, how can we understand ourselves and market participants better and identify where mistakes are being made? And, that enables us to capitalize on those mistakes. One thing Howard Marks says is value investing requires you to buy something for less than it's actually worth. And one thing that requires is for someone else to be selling something for less than it's actually worth. Okay? So that necessitates that there's a mistake being made. And within these 25 psychological misjudgments, there's a lot of clues about how to identify mistakes in the markets. So I'm just going to read through this whole section. It's only one page, and then there's two other resources I want to spend a little time on around LikingLoving Tendency. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Chapter 2, in the Psychology of Human Misjudgment chapter. A newly hatched baby goose is programmed through the economy of its genetic program to love and follow the first creature that is nice to it, which is almost always its mother. But if the mother goose is not present right after the hatching and a man is there instead, the gosling will love, quote unquote, and follow the man, who becomes a sort of substitute mother. Somewhat similarly, a newly arrived human is born to like and love under the normal and abnormal triggering outcomes for its kind. Perhaps the strongest inborn tendency is to love. Ready to be triggered is that of the human mother for its child. Okay? For any of you who have ever witnessed this, I've had two children, and it's quite apparent. Seeing a mother with a newborn, it is like very, right there in your face. On the other hand, the similar child-loving behavior of a mouse can be eliminated by the deletion of a single gene, which suggests there is some sort of triggering gene in a mother mouse as well as in a gosling. Each child, like a gosling, will almost surely come to like and love, not only as driven by its sexual nature, but also in social groups not limited to its genetic or adoptive family. Current extremes of romantic love almost surely did not occur in man's remote past. Our early human ancestors were surely more like apes, triggered into mating in a pretty mundane fashion. For those of you who have watched Attenborough on the Nature series, right? Animals tend to be pretty, in and out in terms of mating. That may have been a pun. I'm not quite sure. And what will a man naturally come to like and love apart from his parent, spouse, and child? Well, he will like and love being liked and loved. And so many a courtship competition will be won by a person displaying exceptional devotion, and man will generally strive lifelong for the affection and approval of many people not related to him. Let's do an experiment. I don't know many of you people. I'm not related to any of you. But I would sure love if you would leave a comment saying, "I love you, Mr. Stock Compounder." Now, you may not be there yet, and that's okay. "I like you, Mr. Stock Compounder" is okay. Baby steps. We'll get there. One very practical consequence of liking-loving tendency is that it acts as a conditioning device that makes the liker or lover tend, 1, to ignore faults of and comply with wishes of the object of his affection. 2, to favor people, products, and actions merely associated with the object of his affection, as we shall see when we get to influence from mere association tendency, which is one of the future tendencies. And 3, to distort other facts to facilitate love. Okay? The phenomenon of liking and loving causing admiration also works in reverse. Admiration also causes or intensifies liking or love. With this feedback mode in place, the consequences are often extreme, sometimes even causing deliberate self-destruction to help what is loved. Okay? Sounds highly irrational, but the things we do for love, right? Liking or loving intertwined with admiration in a feedback mode often has vast practical consequences in areas far removed from sexual attachments. For instance, a man who is so constructed that he loves admirable persons and ideas with a special intensity has a huge advantage in life. Right? This makes me think of Charlie and Warren. Charlie, with regard to Benjamin Franklin, is what comes to mind. This blessing came to both Buffett and myself in large measure, sometimes from the same persons and ideas. One common beneficial example for us both was Warren's uncle, Fred Buffett, who cheerfully did the endless grocery store work that Warren and I ended up admiring from a safe distance. Even now, after I have known so many other people, I doubt if it is possible to be a nicer man than Fred Buffett was. And he changed me for the better. So you can see it's not just negative here. If you like and or love people that are, just really good people, that can actually lift you up in life. There are large social policy implications in the amazingly good consequences that ordinarily come from people likely to trigger extremes of love and admiration, boosting each other in a feedback mode. For instance, it is obviously desirable to attract a lot of lovable, admirable people into the teaching profession. So that's what Charlie had to say on the matter. I pulled up a blog post here from Farnam Street. And clearly Farnam Street has spent a ton of time digging into mental models, digging in particularly to Poor Charlie's Almanac, but many other, mental models from other places as well. But you can see here a 9-minute blog post on bias from liking, loving, right? The same tendency we were just exploring. And there's a really powerful example in here that isn't in Poor Charlie's Almanac. In his bestseller on social psychology, Influence, Robert Cialdini tells a story about the successful strategy of Tupperware, which at the time reported sales of over 2.5 million a day. As many of us know, the company for a long time sold its kitchenware at parties thrown by friends of the potential customers. At each party, there was a Tupperware rep taking orders, but the hostess, the friend of the invitees, received a commission. These potential customers are not blind to the incentives and social pressures involved. Some of them don't mind, others do, but all admit a certain degree of helplessness in their situation. This is the liking-loving tendency at work. Cialdini recalls a conversation with one of the frustrated guests. "It's gotten to the point now where I hate to be invited to Tupperware parties. I've got all the containers I need, and if I wanted more, I could buy another brand cheaper in the store. But when a friend calls up, I feel like I have to go. And when I get there, I feel like I have to buy. What can I do? It's for one of my friends. Okay? Very powerful business model, these Tupperware parties. And I'll link to this if you guys want to dig deeper into it in the description. Last thing I want to dig into is I asked ChatGPT, provide examples of how liking-loving tendency can lead to bad decisions and the antidotes for how to avoid them. The first one, I'm going to move this over. Liking-loving tendency can lead to bad decisions in several ways. Here are a few examples. 1, confirmation bias. When we like or love someone, we tend to seek out information that confirms our positive impressions of them, and we may ignore or discount evidence to the contrary. This can lead to bad decisions if we overlook warning signs or red flags that suggest the person may not be trustworthy or compatible with us. Okay. For some reason, I thought of the son of Hitler. Okay, you come into the world, Hitler's your father. Now, I don't know if Hitler was a father, but that would be a very challenging liking-loving tendency to deal with. Can you imagine? You have this attachment, right, to your father, and of course you're going to seek out information that confirms your positive impressions and ignore or discount evidence to the contrary, which was clearly in abundance. Boy, that would really mess things up, wouldn't it? The antidote, try to be more objective and open-minded when evaluating people or situations. Look for evidence that both supports and challenges your assumptions, and consider alternative perspectives or viewpoints. In terms of investing, one thing that comes to mind with this, when you make an investment, and this is something I think Pabrai, Charlie Munger have talked about, find the people on the other side, the smartest people on the other side. Ray Dalio also talks about this. And just figure out what you're missing, right? What you're missing about, the other perspective of why people don't like this company as an investment. My friend Karan through Punchcard has this great approach of when he makes an investment, he's on a platform called Turo, and not Turo, that's a car sharing company. eToro, that's why I thought of Turo, it's very similar. eToro, you can actually find the shorts for a particular company, and he engages with them and tries to figure out what he's missing in his investment thesis from the people who have taken the other side in a bet. So those are powerful ways to deal with making an investment. You got your money invested in a company, you really start to like it. How do you maintain rationality? Number 2, overestimating benefits. When we like or love something, we may overestimate the benefits or rewards it will provide us, and we may underestimate the cost or risks involved. This can lead to bad decisions if we take on too much debt, make impulsive purchases, or engage in risky behavior. This reminds me of investors in Tesla. There was like kind of a cult following to Tesla where people would take out HELOCs or refinance their homes to just have more money to be able to invest in Tesla. That is liking-loving tendency at an extreme. Taking on too much debt, over-leveraging, just to have more exposure to this thing that they like or love. The antidote, try to take a more balanced and realistic view of the benefits and costs involved. Consider the long-term consequences of your decisions and weigh the potential risks and rewards carefully. Yeah, that's important. So, often when we like or love something, we're really kind of in short-term mode, right? We want to maximize our benefit in the short term by perhaps taking long-term risks and not considering these long-term consequences. So it's important to bring those back in. Number 3, loyalty bias. When we like or love someone, we may feel a sense of loyalty or obligation to them, even if their behavior or actions are unethical or harmful. This can lead to bad decisions if we overlook or excuse bad behavior, or fail to hold others accountable when they violate our values or principles. So the antidote, try to be more principled and assertive when it comes to ethical or moral issues, right? Just check in with yourself. Don't abandon yourself to try to please this other person that you like or love. Speak up when you see something that doesn't feel right and hold yourself and others accountable for ethical or legal standards. Last one, sunk cost fallacy. When we like or love something, we may feel a strong emotional attachment to it, even if it no longer serves us well. This can lead to bad decisions if we continue to invest time, money, or energy into something that is no longer valuable or productive. The antidote, try to be more objective and rational when evaluating your investments. Consider the opportunity cost of continuing to invest in something that is not producing returns, and be willing to cut your losses and move on when necessary. Okay, so awesome from ChatGPT. There's a lot of applicability here to kind of investment portfolios. So hope you guys enjoyed that. LikingLoving Tendency, number 2 from Charlie Munger. So that's all I got for today. I will see you all in the next one. Take care.